yeah, I've had a pretty extensive dating circle these last couple of years, and I've gotten a lot of rejections. Okay, you know what? Let me explain to you guys. So, for me, I started dating late when it came to like wooing a woman or getting to know someone, generally being with someone. So I didn't really get into like the real dating scene, I would say, until college for me. Believe it or not, when I was in high school, I wasn't with no one at all. My entire adulthood has mostly been a learning experience when it came to like just the dating scene in general. Yeah, so I decided, you know what, let me make a video on, I don't want to use the word relationships, but my attempts at dating some women in the past that I've had, and like the craziest rejections I've gotten. Or not even the craziest, but like the funniest rejections I've ever gotten in my life. So to each their own, some of them were my fault, some of them weren't, it just didn't match, didn't work, whatever you want to put it as. So yeah, I just thought that, today would be a cool day to start with how dating has been for me since I would say a little bit before COVID or during my college years. Just a little backstory with me. So yeah, going back to high school for me, I didn't date no one back in high school. Unfortunately, not saying that I didn't try, but it was just like, it just didn't work out. I was a bit of a, I don't want to use the word, what's the word I'm looking for? When I look back at how it was a bit of a weirdo when I look back as who I was back in high school. I don't think I was necessarily ugly. Or do I want to say that? I would say I was a weirdo. I didn't really know how to necessarily woo a woman, or like I was very immature when it came to speaking to women about certain subjects, or I couldn't take myself serious in certain areas. So just like I can see how and why certain women wouldn't find me that appealing at that time. We also is like, oh bro, I got with this girl, I got this, that, and the third. I'm like, where you got with her? I hang out with her all the time. Never saw her that way. And it was just funny when I look back at certain things of myself and like how I was, and like as I've gotten older and like meeting people and learning more about myself. Because there was this really great quote I remember hearing from the late and great Muhammad Ali. He says, a person that views the world the same way they did at the age of 30, the way they do back when they were 18, didn't learn anything at all throughout their entire life. And I agree with that. I think that's very relevant even into today's time. So it's kind of like when you're out dating and then like you say you could put yourself like as a 5 in this attractive range or whatever, and then like you have your friend, he could be like a 9 or a 10. And so it's like imagine always hanging out with them, and then you see them get all necessarily the women you wanted or the girls you wanted to be with at the time, and then like how you do that? They don't even have to do nothing. When it comes to attractive people, they honestly, if you really look at them, they really don't have game. They don't have to do anything. I think it's just to each their own with women too. Like they really don't really have to do much. Like you just be who you are, and then people will come to you. When it came to me, when I officially started dating, I had to be the one doing the wooing. I was usually the one doing the approaching. If I liked you or not, I have to see how to go and get at it. Reviewing, looking back how I was, where life has taken me, the women I've been with, life experiences I've had. Or so it's just like, wow, like I was really like that, and I can understand certain situations. So some of those stories, some of them were really funny when I look back, like, well, yeah, that really happened. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. Oh yeah, also please don't mind the hat. My hair just looks crazy, and I just didn't feel like brushing it or anything. I'm kind of growing my hair out right now, just trying something a little different. I may cut it. I know me. I just do whatever with my hair sometimes. So don't mind the hat right now. Honestly, I really don't think I really did a lot of approaching back in high school. I remember a lot of girls I did like back then, they were either already in relationships, or I've heard stuff about them, they were already messing around with someone else, this, that, and the third. I think one of the funniest rejections I've ever gotten, it was actually like a slow burn rejection. Like I knew like we weren't gonna work out, or it wasn't gonna ever be anything. I just think it was really funny when I look back on it. So this had to been, I would say, a couple months before COVID had hit. So I know this was about late or mid 2019 or really late 2018. I got a job working at TJ Maxx at Soho. This is when TJ Maxx was being created at that time. I got a job there, and it was alright, When we got hired there, they were pretty much, I believe, me personally, I believe all the women that they hire there were either supermodels or just extremely attractive women and people that they hired in general. Anyone to everyone in that store was trying to sleep with each other. I'm being so dead ass, very serious. But yeah, it was cool. I remember when I started working, I met this one girl. I'm not gonna say her name, but like if she watches this video, shout out to you. I mean, she knows who she is. I just sharing the story. I thought it was funny. Obviously, I thought she was very cute. She knows she's attractive. Yeah, and she was cool to me. She was very forward with who she was, and like she had a boyfriend at the time. So I was just like, okay, whatever. I remember at work during that time when I knew her, I always considered her my work girlfriend in my head. So when we going out, we going like, you know, hang out. It was light flirting. I know that, you know, you always sign like, you know, the NDAs at work where, you know, sexual harassment, but I'm telling you, at that job, no one gives a about that at the job. Like everyone was trying to sleep with everyone at that store. I remember I worked there for about 3 or 4 months there, and it was okay job, but like, you know, it wasn't gonna be like a career set path for me. This is during the time I was in between schooling at the time, and I was getting sick and I got better, so I remember I needed some time to work again, and I just went back to work. But anyway, the story's not about that. So I remember when I used to work with this girl, she was like, she was cool. Like, not that we would hang out, but we went to lunch a couple times together. She was cool. I never, you know, not gonna sit here and say that, you know, she was a mean person or anything like that, but she was great, and like, you know, she was a cool person to work with, and like, you know, she had a cool personality. She was very upfront with me. She used to tell me funny stories about her and her boyfriend at the time, either they were having issues or not. I was like, oh, okay, well, I wish the best for you. When y'all gonna break up so I could shoot my shot with you? Pretty much whenever I shoot my shot with her, she would shoot me down, like playfully, but she knew that I was always flirting. Obviously, I was just a huge flirt at the time, and she was very upfront with me. I know for me, my biggest downfall, and when it comes to like the attractive part of being a man for me, is just I'm short. There's nothing, at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do about that. You gotta work with God gave you, and I work with it as much as I can be. I work on other things. I work on personality. I work on making the most money I can to be able to take care of myself and my family. So I really don't try to let that factor in when it comes to dating with me, because like I've been pretty successful even with the lowballing stature of what I have. So I don't let that affect me. But she did. I remember when I used to try to flirt her, get at her at work or so, or outside of work, or whatever, or sometimes texting her or whatever, she'd be like, "Oh, you're too short for me. You gotta be this tall." Mind you, like, me and her were like the same height, so it's just like, even with her, there were other girls that would do the same thing, like, you know, you're too short for me. And mind you, the girl would be like this to me. Now she wants someone like this. There's nothing I could do about it. I was supposed to go on a date with another girl that my boy Sergio had hooked up for me. So shout out to Sergio, people that know him. Yeah, Sergio's a friend from high school. So there was this one girl I was just doing me at the time, and that's what I was working. And there was this one lady, he told me, oh no, it's this one girl, she's always posted about, she's single, like she's recently broken up, whatever. He told me I should hit her up. I was like, I was like, all right, sure, I'll shoot my shot. I hit her up, and then we were talking for like a week or so. And then I remember we were supposed to go out to go and see each other for the first time, to go to the movies. I believe this is during the time when Queen of Slime came out, and I was supposed to go to the movies for her. But then this girl got really weird. She was saying, oh, like, you know, you got kids, you got a girlfriend, why are you lying to me? I'm just like, what? Where are you getting this from? Because my nephew at the time was just born or so, and like she believed my nephew was my kid, and I was just like, okay, this isn't going to work. So I remember I dubbed the girl. I remember when I dubbed the girl, I was at work. I sent her a message, say, hey, you know, just considering everything, I don't think this is going to work, you know, with you accusing me of X, Y, and Z, you know, I wish you the best. You found what you're looking for. The girl pretty much blocked on me, and Sergio, I was just like, whatever, just ignore it. Haven't spoken to the girl since. That same day, the girl that I won't use the word like, but like I was always flirting with or whatever at work, just a friend or whatever. I remember she came up to me randomly because I knew that she was having some personal stuff going on in her relationship, whatever. I don't want to share too much of that here. She was just like, oh, you know, I got tired of this shit, so like, you know, me and him are over with. I was like, oh, okay. Sorry to hear that. And I told her about the date I was supposed to have today, but I had to cancel. The girl was being weird. So I said, hey, I already was gonna go watch this movie. If you're free, would you like to go with me tonight? And she looked at me. She was like, yes, I would love to go with you. And I was like, oh shit. So we're gonna go out. Now, me personally thinking about that, I was just like, this is kind of a win because she's way 10 times hotter than the original girl I was gonna go out with in my head, and I kind of get along with her. So I'm not really expecting much to happen. We had I remember after work that day, we met up in Brooklyn and Fulton, and it was nice. We walked to the theater. She was telling me a little bit about herself, about other guys she saw to in the past, stuff like that. It was a nice time in general. Like, I don't think that it was a bad time spending with. But mind you, like, we knew each other, and it wasn't like we haven't hung out before necessarily speaking outside of work. Like I said, I would go out on lunch with her during lunch break. I remember we used to walk down to either Wendy's or like a nice little restaurant. It was nothing serious or so, but that was a work setting. It was never taken to be like a date, anything. So I remember we went to the movies, and we went to go see Queen of Slime. The movie was nice. We enjoyed. I would like to think that we enjoyed each other's company. I really don't see much of a complaint during that time. So I remember we walked down the block to the movies, and not that we held hands or anything. I remember like when you're couples in movies, like you walk in, someone like has their arm around you. It was like that, and it was sweet. And I remember she would crack a joke, like a really tall, attractive guy walked by. She was like, "Oh my God, why can't you be him? Why can't you be that tall?" I was just looking at her like, I don't know. What you want me to do? Tippy toe? I don't know. So it was cracking jokes, and it was fine. Like, there was no real issues. I remember after the theater, so the rejection started happening. So I walked into the train station, but like, mind you, have to keep in mind now that I'm older and I think back on it, it's funny because it's funny when you think about dating or like just getting to know someone in general. So you have to keep in mind, either this girl had just broke up with her boyfriend, or like she's just going out, she just needs some time out, or like I was just like, I don't want to use the word a jump off because nothing happened, but like I was just like, it's just a release of just relaxation that night. I can look back on it. So I remember after the theater, and she was just like, okay, thank you, I'm gonna go home to the train. I was like, and the night with the kiss, she was like, not happening. I was like, alright, I took the L, but she was just like, she had really nice fun hanging out with me. So in my head, I'm just like, okay, that's cool. If she broke up with her boyfriend, maybe she'll be open to hanging out again one day. Maybe we'll see how that goes. I go home, and then I remember that night, I FaceTimed her to make sure she got home safely. She did. It was a nice time. She said that she genuinely enjoyed her time hanging out with me. And I'm assuming to myself at that time, maybe if things were different, or if I was taller, or whatever she was looking for, maybe she would have possibly given me a shot, or maybe that's just me thinking about it. But who knows, to each their own. But I remember it kind of hurted the day. I remember when I saw her, the first thing out her mouth, she was like, oh, I'm fine, how you doing? I was like, I'm fine. In the middle of me talking, she was like, oh, I got back with my boyfriend. Okay. Oh, yeah. I remember I was just like, yeah, I anticipated that, I hope you're happy. She's like, I am very happy. And I was like, okay, whatever. I decided, at the end of the point, there's nothing you could do. There's really nothing you could really do. I mean, I went out with her. It was cool, but like, it was an unsuccessful date on my end. But like, I enjoyed her company during that time, and to this day, I still wish her the best. Whatever she got going on in her life. I mean, I believe we still follow each other on Instagram. I see her sometimes, but she's a very beautiful woman, and everything, and I'm sure whatever she got going on, she's doing great in her life. But like, when you look back at certain things in dating, I was just like, yeah, that really happened. After COVID, I don't want to say it was like a slow period for me, because I remember after that point, I didn't really start kicking off dating like hardcore until I moved out and got my own spot back in 2020. So a little backstory, in 2020, that's the year I had moved out of the apartment I had. I was living with my sister at the time, and then I moved out, and then I got into a roommate situation with a couple roommates. And I would say at that pivotal moment, when I started living on my own, that's when I would say the dating repertoire started happening for me. So I would say, yeah, it was in 2020 when I officially moved. Like, it was instant. I don't know what it was, but like, if I was on a dating app, and like the matches I would get, and it was just become easier. Like when you're texting a woman or talking to them to ask you where you live or whatever, I feel like the instant you tell them like you have your own spot, necessarily speaking, it's like, oh well, you have your own. This is weird. Oh, when am I coming over? This, that, and the third. So yeah, it got a little bit easier dating route for me at that time, and it was alright. Like I remember one of the first girls I started dating, I think we only lasted like a month or two dating wise, was this one girl. She was very cute. I knew that I did not like her in the sense that she was very boring to talk to for me. Now for me, when I am seeing someone, I don't necessarily like to be the only person that's giving anything in the conversation. Like at least give me something to fall back on. Like I felt like I had to be the one to provide the entertainment, the one to start off a conversation or like entertain us both. And I was just like, I think that at the time I was only seeing her because I thought she was cute and I wanted to sleep with her. So I remember also that same girl, I felt like she was a bit of an opportunist. And what I mean by that was that I noticed the only times we would ever talk is if I would initiate a conversation with her. I did certain things you could always pick up when dating if someone likes you or not. I just felt like she really wasn't feeling me like that, or she probably had a side dude. Who knows? I don't know. I remember the only time she would really be willing to hang out with me, like there were times I asked her, hey, let's go for a walk in the park, let's just do something. She's like, no, I don't feel like it. Okay, well, what if like, want to go out to eat for dinner? Sure, I'm free now. Let's go out to eat, free food, whatever, because I'm paying. So it's just like stuff like that. Like you have to take into consideration, like, even with wooing a woman, like understanding the concept of dating, but sometimes, you got to give and get a little bit. So like, we didn't work out. I remember during the time when I was seeing her, she was alright, but like she really didn't give much as in dating wise, and I thought that we weren't gonna match. But eventually, I remember one time she did come over to my apartment at the time. It was cool. Like even that one time she came over to my house, the one time we did wind up doing. I'm not gonna share all that stuff. We did wind up like hooking up, doing stuff together eventually, which was okay. But I even noticed, even leading up to that point, she still wasn't giving much as in personality wise. And like even at the time when she did come over that one time, when she was laying on my bed, it was just like we barely spoke to each other, and like I just felt like we just were a really good match. I believe during that was, I think after that happened, like I saw her like 2 other times, and then we just died out. Nothing ever happened. I think for her, I didn't really like her that much, and just learn more about yourself when it comes to dating. Fast forward that one, I think after her, I started dating this other girl, but like we were together for about a year or so, and we just unfortunately didn't work out. I don't want to talk about that one, but so yeah, I would say I started dating and I became pretty much I don't want to use this word loosely, but when I speak to some of my friends about the people that they know, the women that they know I've been with, they would consider, oh, you became a hoe. And I look back on it, I was like, yeah, maybe a little bit. But during the time, I was a little bit hurt. I just went through a breakup at the time, and I just was like, I want to use the word rapidly dating than just rapidly hooking up, if that's the term you want to use as an adult now. So I remember some funny stories I had. So this is during the time I was still living on my own. I was just going through a breakup with a girl I was dealing with for almost a year, and like it was a rough breakup for me because I thought it was gonna be something more than what it turned out to be, and I really cared about her, but you learn more about yourself and try to learn to move on. So I remember during this time when I was still single doing me, I matched with this other girl. I forgot her name, but a lot of women that from my past, these past couple of years, I have forgotten about. But I'll tell this quick story I remember. So this was like a rejection, but I really didn't see it coming so fast. But so there was this other woman. She was a much older woman than me. This woman I dated, this had to have been when I was 25 or 26. I was either 25 or 26 when I had met this one woman. Forgot her name. She was African. I didn't know that she was short. She was cute. A much older woman. I believe she worked in like a law firm or like real estate. She made like good money or whatever. But that really wasn't it. So this woman, I remember her because we had met up in 42nd Street. We went to David and Buster's. It was a nice date, like I paid for us to do video games, and then we went down to Applebee's that night. It was nice. We enjoyed it. I like to think that we enjoyed each other's company and everything. And then as we got to know each other, I remember before we had went out, she was telling me, she likes younger guys, and I remember she was telling me that she liked younger guys and that she likes guys with beards. So I remember during the time when I first went out with her, I had just shaved. So like I was almost baby face clean. I had a little bit of my mustache left, but like she was really obsessed with guys that had beards. Who knows? Who knows why? And when we went out, I guess maybe she didn't find me that attractive without a beard or so, whatever it was. But I used to tell her a story. I was telling her stories about, just dating and like people. Not women I've been with. I'm not going to get into details about that with someone I just met. I think that'd be very inappropriate. But I told her like my experience, and I asked her about her experience and whatever. And I remember she went on this not long rant, but she went on the story about she was in love with this 21-year-old guy. Mind you, this woman's like 35 or 34 that she dated like 2 years ago, and they didn't work out or whatever. And like he was like a coworker, and I was like, okay, lady. Okay, so I see you got The Office going on in you. A little bit of Jim and Pam romance was going on with that story. So I remember we were talking, and then she was like, yeah, like he like really was great and whatever. And he was a young guy. And she was telling me, yeah, we were sleeping together, and we did work out, but like, he was really young. He was like into gangs and stuff like that. I'm just looking at his label like, what? Okay. I'm not like that, so I was just like, okay. So I'm listening to her story, and like, she I don't really remember too much of what she said, but I remember she was saying like she likes young guys, young guy, like he had like her heart, whatever, but they didn't work out, but she's trying to move on. But I was like, I completely understand that. I told her I went through a breakup a while ago. I was still trying to move on, find myself also. And then I think the night went decently okay. I remember after the date, I had rode with her back to her house, at least make sure she got home safely, because I remember that night I had to work. So I went from Manhattan, because I was working in Manhattan, and I had like 2 hours to kill before I started work. So I went from Washington Heights to Manhattan to go on my date. From Manhattan, rode with this chick back to her place to make sure she got home safely. I remember when I got there, I was like, I hugged her. I was hoping for it. I asked her if I'd get a kiss goodbye. She was like, no, I don't kiss on the first date. I was like, oh, okay. You weren't really fooling me. I was like, okay, no problem. Took that L. I was like, okay, I wish you a good night. I'll talk to you later. She was like, no problem, sitting here too. I get back to work. I think that I started my shift at work, and then like an hour later I started working. I get a text message from her, what I could remember her saying. She was like, hey, I really enjoyed tonight hanging out with you. It was really nice. But, just thinking about everything, the conversation that we had with, seeing you and everything, I just realized that I still have really strong feelings for my ex-boyfriend, which she was referring to the much younger guy than me, that, that I still have feelings for him. I really want to see if I could work out getting back with him, but I really enjoyed hanging out with you. But hey, I'm going to send you money to go towards the date we had tonight. Sorry it didn't work out, but I wish you the best. And then I looked at my phone, I was just like, okay, that was interesting. So, had to hold that L, whatever. I think I remember I was nice about it. I was like, no problem, it was fine. I thought there could have possibly been something there, but I understand. I wish you the best, Thank you for, I guess, splitting the bill tonight. That was very nice of you, and I wish you the best. Last I ever heard from her, never heard from her again. I have no idea what's going on with that girl. I've learned as an adult, sometimes you just can't help who you fall in love with. So, I think that for that young lady, she was older than me, but stuff happens. I remember another rejection I had. I would say this is about a year and a half, about almost 2 years ago. This is during the time me and Sergio were living together. There was this one girl. I'm not even going to use the word dated. I can't even use the word dated. We got together one time, and stuff happened, and then like that was it. So this one girl, she was cool. I would say she was a bit of a drifter type woman. So this woman was a little bit older than me. I remember I had to been like 26 or 27 at the time. This woman had to been like 35, 36 at the time, and forgot her name too. Most of the women I've been with, like I did not really care about, or so I really didn't get to know. I cannot remember their name. I do not know why. Like I remember like none of their names, but I remember them by face. Like you ever look at someone and be like, I know you, but I cannot put a name to your face. Like it's like it works the same for me. There's like a little trick I do with women or people that I just meet, and like when I know them, like I know you, but I can't remember your name. So what I do is just like if I get someone's number, like hey, let me save your number to my phone. If they'll give me their number or whatever, and be like, hey, if I don't remember their name, we're having a conversation. This little trick I do, I'll be like, hey, how do you spell your name again? And then when they tell me their name, I'm like, oh, that's your name. Yeah, all right, spell that for me. Sam, how you spell Sam? Okay, everyone knows how to spell Sam. S-A-M, Sam. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. But yeah, so there was so that woman, yeah. So I remember this woman here. She told me she was a recent divorcee. We matched on Tinder. I remember it was Tinder I matched with this woman. And she tells me that she's a recent divorcee. She just moved to Brooklyn from, I forgot where she was from, but yeah, she moved to Brooklyn. She was a cute woman. She has red hair, African American with red hair, really big old butt she had, and she was cool, whatever. Yeah, so we had matched and we were talking. I would say we were talking for like half a week or to a week or so, and then we were getting to know each other. And I remember she had told me that, you know, she's like in her mid-30s, she's a recent divorce, you know, if I could remember correctly, she was like, not that her husband was abusive, but he was like emotionally abusive from my understanding of it. I was like, I can understand. I hope that you're able to like, you know, get better from that, you know, move forward from that. So, and she told me that she recently moved into like a roommate situation with some of her friends. Like her roommate's really nice, whatever. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like I got a roommate with myself, my best friend Sergio, and you know, I lived with him and his kids and his girlfriend at the time. So I remember randomly she said that, oh, I'm not doing anything on this day. Do you want to hang out? I'm like, sure. What you want to do? She's like, oh, you want to just come over? When she said that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I come over and we haven't just met yet, I'm just like, okay, more than likely something might happen. I didn't say that to her. I wasn't gonna like kind of like cock block myself. So I remember also, I forgot to say, I remember during that time when we were talking, I remember for some reason, I don't know why she didn't like realize my age, like she was older than me. I guess I gave off like much older energy, because I remember she was like, oh, we were talking whatever when I was at work. I remember we was FaceTiming. I remember her face, and she was like, yeah, like I'm 30 this years old, 34, 35 years old, you know, single, whatever. I was like, yeah, I understand that, like I feel what you're going through. I remember she asked me for my age. I was like, yeah, I'm 20. I think I was either 26 or 27 at the time. She was like, wait a minute, you're how old? I remember her face being like that. I was like, yeah, what's going on? She was like, oh my God, you're so young. I was just like, yeah, well, you didn't know how old I was? I had that up on my profile. She was like, oh no, like I didn't like really skim. I was just like, I just thought you was cute. But she was just like, oh my God, you're so young. You're like, what? I'm like, what, 7 years older than you? I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much of an issue with it. Is it going to be much of an issue? She was like, no, it's just mostly comfortability, but it's just like, you seem very mature for your age. I was like, I mean, I guess so, yeah, but like, you know, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. But like, you know, it really wasn't an issue, I guess, for her eyes at the time. So, you know, let's go back to when she had invited me over. I mean, I went over, I met up with her, she was pretty cool. Now, this girl, she was a bit of a cat lady, which is not much of an issue. I mean, I had my own cat, you know, at the time, you know, so I really didn't bother me. She was nice. I remember she didn't have a bed, excuse me, she had a bed, but not like a bed frame or anything like that. So I remember we were chilling on her bed, and I remember we went out to go get some food and bring it back to her apartment. I believe when we went back to her room, we watched that movie Turning Red. Shout out to that movie. We were singing that song with their group singing and everything, and it was cool. We did wind up hooking up sleeping with each other that night, and it was fine. It was fine. Like it was much of an issue with that. I mean, I just met this woman, so you could say like my first time meeting her, and we wound up getting together. Me personally, as a man, I was kind of expecting it to happen for her to invite me over, and we haven't even met or done anything outside. Yeah, so I was just like, okay, that happened. I guess I enjoyed her company. It was nice that one night, and yeah, and I remember she seemed really chill even after, and I believe if I can remember correctly, I did spend the night, and then I left that morning, and then like I checked on her the following day, and she said she's fine, and then after that, I never heard from her again. So it's kind of like she got digged down, and then like she left me unseen. That's like what men do sometimes. Me personally, I don't think I've ever done that, but it was cool. I mean, I remember I hit her up a couple times in the past to make sure she's okay. She's never even opened the message or even responded, so I left her alone. So I was like, okay, whatever, it happened. Yeah, that was like another rejection. I can't be mad at her. She probably got what she wanted, or like she's just probably just wasn't feeling me. So it's just like, okay, not mad at it. Anything, stuff happens in life. Yeah. So it was with her, and even dating now, like my dating life now has been put on hold. I've had like a pretty stressful year. I just put that on the back burner. I'm just like, right now, if I meet someone, I meet someone. If not, it's not gonna kill me or anything like that. I'm sure eventually, if I meet someone when the time comes, I'll be at a better place with myself. Even with mental health and everything, I want to be a better person for myself, or whoever I wind up being with in general. There's been plenty of things that I've lost over my incapacity to understand a significant situation, to be able to say, no, I was wrong for that. It takes a big person to realize that they were wrong by doing something, or something good or bad. When I look at growing up, so like another example, I'm going to go back even a couple of years before that. I remember when I was at Lehman College. This is the college I went to, where I had graduated from, where I got my bachelor's. This had to have been around the summer of 2017, I'm gonna say. This is during the time I was in school, and I had met this one girl. I don't want to say her name, privacy, but this is someone I did date. We dated, I would say, close to 3 to 4 months or so. Didn't work out, but yeah, the story with that was this is why I say the example of becoming older and being more self-aware of your wrongdoings. So this girl, we met in school, and I remember I met her, and I forgot the name of the class. It wasn't accounting, but it was like a really hard math class. And this teacher that we had, it wasn't like he was bad, but it was just like the way he would teach. It was just like he would just literally just read what's on the board, and like not really give much of an example outside what's on the board. So it's just like, if that's the case, I could just read this shit at home and teach myself. So she was cool. At the time, I was trying to talk to other girls, but they ain't really working out, whatever. I was just doing me. And I don't use the word I was dusty, but it was just like, I was very like, maybe thirsty at the time. So yeah, she was cool. I remember me and her really started to get to know each other, because I started sitting like semi closer in the class, and we talk a little bit. Remember, she gave me her number purely for like just for like study groups, because we had like a study group going on, and I would text her just for like studying and stuff like that. How'd your test go? This and that and the third. She was like, oh, well, this, that. But I was like, okay, cool. I remember we met up at Lehman a couple times, and like we got to know each other a little bit. We would hang out, not really hang out at that point. We weren't hanging out as much as just studying and go on, which is fine, not really much of an issue. Then I remember when the semester was over, I asked her how the semester went for her. She went fine. How did you pass the class? I said, yeah, barely. I got like a C, or I think I got like a C or a D in that class. For me, math was always terrible for me. But yeah, so I remember at the time, my sisters were asking, how's your dating life? So this is what happened. I don't think this girl ever knows this story, but I don't think I ever told her this. But I remember, so they was like, how's your dating going? I was like, nothing's going on. She's like, there's no one that catches your eye or anything like that. Well, I've tried with these other women, but it didn't work out. But then I mentioned this girl that at the girl that had the math class. I was like, there was this one girl. I was talking to my sister Lily at the time about it, and I was like, there was this one girl. I think she's cute, but like I never really thought about shooting my shot with her. But I was just like, this one girl, like she's cute. Whenever she's been really nice and cool to me, but like I never really thought about like trying to ask her or anything like that. The semester's over, so like I don't think I'm ever see her talk to this girl again. And then it was my sister that had advised me to ask her out because my sister was just like, I'm not doing anything. If you like her. I said I do like her. She seems pretty cool, but I don't know. Like I've been getting rejected a lot recently. I don't got the juice or whatever to like really have the energy to get rejected again. She was like, "Oh, just shoot your shot." So I never told her this story when we were dating. But I remember my sister was the one that actually wrote up the message for me because I was like, "Nah, I'm kind of scared out this just I don't want to that's gonna be a little. I don't want to get rejected again." So my sister Lillian was the one that actually, she was the one that actually wrote up the message on my phone, and I eventually asked this girl. I remember, if I could vaguely remember what I sent her, I remember I was like, hey, it was great, getting to know you throughout the semester. I'm like paraphrasing, but I can remember what I wrote to her. And I was just like, hey, if you ever want to hang out sometime, now the semester's over, let me know. And I remember she got back to me. She was like, yeah, sure, we could definitely hang out. I was like, oh, shit. My sister wrote that message, and she's like, you're welcome. I was like, gotcha. Thank you, sis. Love ya. So, yeah, and then we started dating. I remember our first date, we went out to, if I can remember the park, I believe it was Central Park or somewhere. It was not really much it was a park. We were on a picnic. And then, when you've been seeing someone not in a sexual manner or so, and then, you see them again, because I remember when we went out, even though, I kind of meant it as a date, I wasn't too sure she knew I meant it as a date, I took it as, let me just go out as a friendly outing, let me see how it went. And then when I saw her, I remember when I saw her, she was wearing this skin-tight, black, onesie type outfit. Like her ass was out, not only just the word out, but it was there. And I remember when I saw her, I was like, oh, she looks really good, she looks very beautiful. And we kind of hit it off, I remember I spoke to her mom that day. She let me speak to her, introduced myself. Her mom was like, oh, you sound so sweet this night. I was like, yeah, it was really nice talking to you. Then I remember after that date, and then we started seeing each other even more. I remember, I believe our second date, we went to go and see the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And it was really nice. We enjoyed each other's company. You know what date is going well when, even after the date, you guys want to continue to spend more time together. It's you're struggling to go home. So I remember it was kind of like that for us. And then, I remember eventually got to a point where I met her mother. I remember when I met her mother, I had bought flowers. And I remember when I met her downstairs at her house, she was like, oh my God, you bought flowers for me? I was like, no, just for your mom. And for me, your mama. And that's I did that, and her mom, I guess I'll use where she can see me. Then me and her continued to date. And then then eventually, I didn't realize certain things that I was doing at the time that made her feel indifferent of me, which is understandable. You don't really realize what you have until you lose it. And so I got to a point, we were dating for a couple months, then certain things I was doing that I didn't see until after we had ended. She was the one that actually initiated the breakup. And I was really hurt because at the time I was under the impression that that I got TYB by someone else. Oh, this girl cheating on me. She was with someone else because of circumstances I don't want to share too much up here that I thought was what it was, but it really wasn't that. It was what I was doing and the type of man I was at that time. I was very childish when it came to dating and certain things. So I'll give you some examples that I realized I was wrong for, that I can understand why you wouldn't want to be with someone like that. So when I had to been around either 22 or 23 when we were together at that small time together. And when I look back on it, I remember this one thing is money-wise, not that saying it plays a big factor in certain things, but I saw that I was selfish in certain things. I remember this one time she needed help with getting something financially, and I was very reserved in helping her that because I was just like, no, you got it, and I was just like, I was pretty selfish in that area, and I made the suggestion, oh, so when am I getting my money back? And that was very selfish of me to do if like we're planning on being together. Like I could have been more like, no, you my girl, I got you, but I was very young and naive at that point. I would never do that shit again. Any man, I would advise you never do that shit. Like that, you come off as very selfish, or you come off as very like you don't care about this person. And it was like nothing to me because I had money at that point. So even with that being said, like, you know, I realized that I could have handled a lot of situations I had with her much better. You know, I realized I was very selfish, the way I treated certain situations that happened between us, and I felt like I didn't show her that I can be a support system within her goals, and I didn't take certain things that she wanted serious. Like another example I don't mind sharing, at the time I wasn't really taking my health too serious. I remember when we did start dating, I was overweight, and I know that at the time she was taking health very serious, and like she was very body positive. She was very beautiful. So like, you know, but like besides that, you know, she obviously you would want a partner to be supportive in that area too, which I was, but not to the extent that where I could have been. You know, so there were times where she would go to the gym and I was supposed to go with her, and I would cancel her last minute because I would either be lazy or wouldn't really have much of a reason to go, it was just me just being me, not really taking my health serious. So I can understand, like, you know, we didn't really fit that well, and it was just me being begrudgingly not wanting to do certain things, where there was nothing wrong with that, with her wanting to be more healthy, and I could have been more supportive in that area and wanted better for myself health-wise too. I think that if someone wants their partner to get better, then they're planning to be with you for a long time, and I think that I didn't really see that. I was just seeing this is something I just don't want to do. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, that led to other things that, you know, I think another thing throughout that relationship I had with this girl was that we never really talked about the issues we had, or nor that I didn't see them because we didn't talk about them. I think that at the time, I know women does this at the time. They won't really say much. What they do, they just tally, oh, this is some other shit that you do that I don't like. Doing this, yep, I'm gonna remember that. And so yeah, I think that also played a role in like issues we were having. And but even with that being said, you know, when it came to the end, I didn't see a lot of stuff I was doing. So like when it came down, when she did decide to separate herself from me, I was kind of like, whoa, I didn't see it coming, because I thought everything was cool between us, but I didn't see the signs. And I blame it on my youth, just not seeing it. I think looking back on it now that I'm pretty much 30 now, I just like, I think that out of all the relationships I had, I think that's one of the major relationships I really regret not being the man I could have been for her. And I just hope she's happy now, whatever she got going on in her life. I mean, for me, I will always care about her. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's just as you get older, you learn more about yourself, and you just want to be the best person you can be for yourself, so you could be there for that right person that's for you. Even to this day, I have no idea who that person is for me today. I had concepts of what I thought love is or so, but even with that, that's always changing. I was brought up in the church with my grandmother. You know, my grandmother, you know, ideally, you know, she wants me to be married, or, you know, you find that right person for yourself. I have faith that can possibly be there for me, but, you know, I'm not really rushing it. Like, I know that when that time comes for me, that, you know, it will be with the right person, whoever that person may be. And, but yeah, like, I think, like I said, I think that, out of all the relationships I had, I think that one is the one I wished I wasn't that person. I wish that if I would have met her as the man I am today, it probably would have been better. But, you know, who knows? You know, I wish her the best in whatever she got going on in her life. I think I still have her on social media. Yeah, she looks great and everything. You know, like I said, that's one relationship I wish that. Yeah, even though we weren't even together that long. That's the funny part. Like we were only together for like almost a summer, but then like it affected me so much. Like, damn, like what happened? I didn't like. It literally took me after we broke up, like within a year after, like really thinking about it, like shit, like why did I do that? That was really messed up for me to do that. So it was just like, yeah, I just have a lot of learning to do. But as you gotten older and spending time with myself, like you learn more about yourself. But I was just like, yeah, I should have done that. And I just hope that for young men that get into the dating game and so, like, you try to take it serious or whoever you're with. Like, I can understand being young and just wanting to fool around, do you, whatever. Like, I'm not tripping over that. But like, you know, if you find that right person for you, like, be the best version of yourself that you can be, and try to. And then whenever you're going through something, or if you have to second guess yourself on certain decisions you make for yourself, try to put yourself in your partner's shoes. Try to see from their perspective how they see certain things. Appreciate you guys watching this video. You know, you guys can always follow me at Matt95Hugh on IG. Hopefully I'll be able to post some more videos in the future, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.